Today we're going to go ahead and set up a virtual machine here. So we're going to go ahead and go to new. We're going to go ahead and go to tell it to have to local media. So we're going to go ahead and go to local storage. We're going to go ahead and browse our sources here. We're going to go and we're going to grab our volume of where our device is at. So in this kind of case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and go add. We're going to allow it to, we're going to add a name here. It's going to allocate this. Now we're going to actually choose the image here. So we're going to go ahead and go to browse. Browse local directory. And the one we're going to install is Archo Linux. We don't need to automatically tech because we know what this is. So we're just going to type in arch. So Arch Linux. Go forward. How much system resource do we want to have? We're going to just add 2 gigs to this here. And I got a 12 core processor, so we're going to go ahead and put 6 cores to this. We're going to go ahead and create a 20 gig image. So we're going to hit and forward. And this is fine. We'll let the network adapter be added here. We're going to go ahead and go hit finish. It's now booting up Archo Linux. So what we're going to do here is it's going to go here and take a few moments to boot up here. We're going to do the virtual image. It's going to take a moment here for this all to be able to get up here. It's loading everything up there and picking up all the directories. That's the first time we tried this build here, so we're going to be working together on this, and we'll be going through here. I went to and actually just did Google search on Archo Linux, and I downloaded the newest image. Right now, what we're doing is we currently are running into the Archo image, and it is in the process of booting up. This is running all real time. Got a couple different options. We can scale it, and we can go to the console, resize it, full screen it if we need to. Here's all our keys we can send to it. And if we want to change our our properties and management and resources. These are our settings here. So we're going to go ahead and make sure everything's set up here. We got it set up to 6 cores, which is good. There's our virtual drive. And we're just going to go through and make sure all our settings for our devices are all set up nice for what we're trying to do. Okay. We're going to head and we're going to head and run this here. So it's going to take a few moments. There we go. It's taking a few moments to load up the Archo installer. It's asked us what we want to do upgrades on. We'll upgrade Firefox. And we'll just go ahead and say I do have an AMD processor. We'll go ahead and do, we're going to make sure that is up to date here. We want to make sure that's up to date. So upgrades. Arco Linux is completely free to use. We're going to install our AMD. We're going to allow so that way we can be able to use that. And then let's go ahead and we'll hit next. And we don't need anything in the communication because I'm not really going to install. I don't need anything here. We'll do the wired. Actually, we don't need any of those communication software, so we're going to go ahead and go next. Well, we don't need anything under development. I don't need anything, but this is if you want to see all the software here. I don't have Plex Media Player or anything else, so we don't really need to run anything from there. Internet's probably a good idea, so we will make sure that we have Firefox here. I don't need the ad block and plus, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next one here. We don't need any themes. We don't need the graphic drivers here. We don't need any games. Terminal. We'll do Terminator's a pretty good one. File manager. We don't need anything else there. We'll let it just pick up its default. Utilities. I don't need installed, but these are all the utilities you can install by default. This tells us all our Git servers and key paths and everything else. We'll say we'll have one key pass in there. Now we're going to go ahead and create a username here. Sometimes you do run into issues with virtual machines here. We'll give it a few moments here. I think that we just go ahead and tell it to reboot this here. we're going to have to get this reset back up here. It's going to take a few moments. Also make sure that the hard drive is set up here. There we have to do is make sure you always pick your bootable ROM. It's going to take a few moments for it to be able to run through everything here. Unlike some channels, we don't edit out everything that we're doing here so that everyone can see the process. Sometimes it does take a moment to get everything reset set back up here. As soon as we get this installed here, we'll go ahead and go through, and eventually we'll go ahead and install Black Arch and go through some tools on that, and we'll go through that in the future. That's one of our future videos. It's going to take a few moments for this all lit up in the background here. We're running this all real time here. It's going to take a few minutes to get through everything here. It's creating all the partition table, it's building everything for us. We do have a manual way, and one of these other days we'll go through on actually how to build it with. If you want to do it from scratch, I usually use Archo to be able to kind of start it out. The makes it a little bit easier to use. And missing when this is installed in the background, we got a couple different other applications I usually use. One of the things you've noticed we're using is we have a video of OBS, which is our what we're actually recording everything on the background here. It shows us everything here that we're doing. Some of our favorite tools are actually using in the background when in the midst of this is installing. If we want to see what's going on and how much processing power we're using, this shows us how it breaks down per core and what we're using here. Since I do have a 12 core system, there it uses basically 24 threads, and that's what you're currently seeing. It tells me how much memory I'm using. I have 62 gigs of RAM, and I'm only using about 6 gigs of RAM right now. Tells me basically it tells me the time of when all these programs, tells me the commands, tells me the users what's doing what. It's how much memory everything's using if you want to check and see what's actually using in your process. And this is what they call HTOP. The next thing we're going to actually do is one of the other favorite programs we have on here is we got Wine, if you want to run any kind of Windows programs. And in case our favorite program is Steam, so if you want to go and play some games, we can definitely play some games here. So when you're waiting for everything to load up, we could very easily just pop some Steam up here in the background. Just going to do an update. Sticking Tom in the background, so we are doing multiple system here. This is there. This is a nice thing about using a 12 core processor here. This is an example if you want to see. I usually use KeyPass. It's always a nice thing. Here's two examples you can see of these two. Never forget your Steam account. Say I can't sign in, but we'll do that later here. It's going to take a while to install here, so we'll probably, in a moment, we'll probably just edit majority of this out here, so that way you can just see when it gets finished here, but we are currently installing the virtual machine in the background. Something is always good to do when you're kind of waiting for it there. It's kind of planning out your next process of the day here. So if we want to go ahead and see what's always going on, it's always a good idea. We can, I think if you ever want to figure out what's going on in your system or what's going on with your network, great another tool we can always use is Wireshark. We're going to probably want to do this as sudo Wireshark. You want to see what's going through your network, you can click on to any interface. It shows you all your network traffic's going through your networks if you ever want to check what's going on and where it's heading out to. Right now it's installing this virtual machine and running in the background. It's going to take a little while. But this is the basics on how we actually install a virtual machine. We'll go into the virtual machine on our to our next video.